On July 8, 2023, 33-year-old Army veteran, Danicka Marie Bergeson, was found by authorities inside her Hopkins, Minnesota apartment, buried under layers of blankets with a plastic bag over her head. She was known to her family as a smart, honest person. She had a huge smile that was very engaging. She graduated with a degree in animal science. She also spent time as a medic in the U.S. Army and was once named Soldier of the Cycle. Everything with her was always black and white. She knew exactly what was right and wrong and she never broke the rules. Danicka worked at a veterinary clinic but had to quit due to an Army injury. Danicka's father, David Bergeson, said that recently she has been struggling with an abusive relationship with 40-year-old Matthew Brenneman. She once ended up with 17 stitches in her arm from a big slash and stitches in the back of her head from an assault. Matthew was charged in April 2023 with assaulting Danicka, striking and biting her, but he told police he was so intoxicated that he did not know what was happening. He was released from jail the next day. After the April incident, Matthew allegedly sent text messages to a friend claiming he gave Danicka a black eye and she deserved it, if any woman ever has. Danicka also partially blamed herself for the assault because she was intoxicated. 1 month later, in May, he then assaulted her again. He was biting, striking and choking her and saying he was going to take her life. About another month later, in June, he pleaded guilty in both domestic assault cases and as part of his parole deal, he was released from jail and was ordered not to contact Danicka pending his August sentencing. Matthew then went to visit Danicka straight after being released, at the apartment, even though he was legally prohibited from having contact with her. The defendant shared that he was there for a week or so, adding, "To the best of my recollection." The two watched fireworks together on the 4th of July. Around July 2nd, Danicka's friends and family started getting worried about her and on July 7th, a day before her body was found, her mother received correspondence from her phone that did not sound like it was coming from her. On the day Danicka's body was found, the building manager at Danicka's apartment building reported groaning, yelling, and banging sounds coming from her unit. Hopkins police found Danicka deceased in her apartment. Officers first spotted Danicka's decomposed hand buried in layers of blankets, and it was determined that she had been deceased for a few days. Police also detected an overwhelming odor of bleach coming from the bathroom where they found Matthew convulsing on the floor after he had drunk the bleach. He had scrape marks across his face, arms, legs as well as distinctive scratches to his back consistent of fingernail scrapes. Matthew was taken to the hospital for treatment, and he was arrested. Police also found what appeared to be bloody clothing in a guest bedroom in the apartment. Matthew allegedly left a series of notes strewn about the apartment, claiming his innocence and claiming that he had never been physically abusive with a woman before. However, the mother of Matthew's child has claimed he had been violent with her as well, on one occasion allegedly pinning her to the bed and hitting her. Danicka's father said, "We often said that we dread this call, because we almost felt we knew it was coming at some point, because it just repeated itself over and over." Like many abuse victims, Danicka's family says she struggled to leave and often did not want to report the abuse. Her father also said, "That was the hard part, just not being able to find a safe place for her." Now her family is hoping for justice. The autopsy revealed numerous wounds across Danicka's body, and the nature of her demise was classified undetermined. Matthew was indicted on 1 count of first-degree charges and 2 counts of second-degree charges in the demise of Danicka. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty said, "Intimate partner violence requires a powerful response. It is an act that leaves traumatized survivors and devastated families in its wake. We are aggressively prosecuting those who commit this violence." Matthew, who was originally arrested on a second-degree case charge, also had his bail increased to $2 million. He now faces life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years, if convicted. The upgraded first-degree charge was for slaying while committing domestic abuse with a past pattern of domestic abuse. One of the second-degree charges was for slaying while under a restraining order for protection. His attorneys, Emmett Donnelly and Sarah Koziel, sought to dismiss the case by citing Hennepin County Medical Examiner Andrew Baker's report that was unable to determine a cause or manner of demise. But prosecutors cited other evidence, including alleged notes Matthew wrote before trying to take his own life. These notes tied him to the crime. He wrote, "I do not wish to divulge what all transpired, personal things exclusive to Danicka and myself to know or seem as though I'm trying to justify the many terrible, absurd or unacceptable things that happened between us." He also added, I never loved any woman I was romantically involved with as profoundly and honestly as Danicka. Matthew pleaded guilty to second-degree charges while under a restraining order. He also admitted to a pair of aggravating factors: committing the act in the privacy of a victim's own bedroom and treating her with particular cruelty by allowing her body to decompose following demise. In exchange for his plea, prosecutors and Matthew's defense team agreed to a sentence of 23.75 years, 285 months, for taking Danicka's life. The current criminal complaint includes documentation of a July jail phone call between Matthew and a family member in which they discussed that a crime of passion could carry a lighter sentence. Matthew's attorney read a factual basis for his guilty plea, with the defendant verbally agreeing with each point. So, what happened on the day Danicka lost her life? According to a police statement, the couple, who were staying together on and off, got into an argument, and she asked him to leave. The argument happened in the bedroom and turned physical, and he restrained her on the bed. He agreed that Danicka had some health vulnerabilities while abstaining from alcohol. Matthew said, "I believe it was day 2 or 3 of not drinking, which he knew was dangerous for her." At some point during the struggle, Matthew agreed. Danicka stopped resisting. He left the room, and several days later he realized she was deceased. He admits he did not render physical aid, check on her or call law enforcement. Defense attorney Sarah Koziel asked Matthew, "Days later when you realized she was deceased, that was when you put a plastic bag over her decomposing body?" To which he replied, "Yes." After hearing Matthew tell the court what happened, Danicka's father said, "I think today's details are really painful. To hear him tell his story and us not to get to tell our story, it's difficult, and he only has to tell enough just to meet the criteria of the charges. So, it's like he can make up what he wants as he goes along, and that's what we have to listen to, and that's really horrible." Matthew will be sentenced on August 23, 2024.